In 2011, I received my first teaching job. But it wasn't quite in a classroom. It was on a field. More specifically, it was on a soccer field. 2011, I was sitting around with my roommate at the time, and he asked me one simple question. He said, "Hey Antonio, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Nothing. Why? I just got class in the morning, and that's it. Why? What's up?" He goes, "Hey, do you want to help me?" And I said, "Okay. What do you need?" He said, "Do you want to help me coach?" And I said, "Coaching? Man, I don't even know anything about that. Why would you even ask me?" "Because I feel you'd be good at it," he said. And since that day on, my journey in education started. So, I like this quote from Socrates that says, "All I know is that I know nothing." And that has been my attitude towards everything I do in education, in coaching, because really, I like to learn from people. And I like people to learn from me. And if we take on this attitude of going into not knowing nothing, and going into like we need to fill the cup, right? It just opens up so much more for us to try and learn and understand that if I go with this attitude towards education, towards learning, I'm really gonna learn a lot. Because if all I know is nothing, right, and that's the only thing I really know, it opens up possibilities that are endless. And every time I teach, every time I coach, every time I speak, I like the people to think that, just imagine you're right here in this moment, and all you know before, you don't know. And we're gonna start filling that cup today. And we're gonna start doing things today that maybe you didn't know, right? But you're willing to give it a chance because that's the attitude you're taking towards it. And that is the way I see education personally. And that really, it's at the ground of my coaching and teaching philosophy. Now, there's a lot of social theories or social learning theories about how kids learn, how kids understand, how kids accept, how do they continue to learn throughout their life, from birth all the way to death, right? Maybe that sounded a little exaggerated, right? But there's actually learning theories that we need to talk about. Like, there's a lot of things out there that as educators we can take and we can learn from, and we can maybe put it into practice. And a lot of these theories, I've actually seen them in practice. Some maybe it wasn't quite the right time at the right moment to use it. But I think they all are tools, and they're all important in the sense that sometimes you need to reward. Sometimes you need to have the students talk to each other. Sometimes you need to have them solely in charge of their learning, right? But the one I really like, it's Leo Vygotsky's theory, right? Social constructivism. That is the theory that I like. That is the theory that I enjoy because, again, as a coach, that's what I want my players to do. I want my players to be creative. I want my players to learn from each other. I like for my players to trust each other, to be in charge of what is it they want to learn. How is it they want to get better? What is it they need to get better themselves as a team? So that is really what I really like, because in a classroom, it should be the same way. We should have students really focus on the problems. They come up with the solutions, right? I've always said that I'm not worried about, I don't want to hear more problems. I want to hear solutions. And that is what I want in the classroom. That's what I want to see in the field. Let's really, solve the problem, guys. I always tell them all the time, solve the problem, because if they learn how to solve the problem themselves, whether it's going to be in education, on a soccer field, or in life, they're going to be able to do that because they have the skills. They've developed those skills to do so. And that is why I'm a big social constructivism person. I really like that idea. I really love that, students could be in charge of their own learning, right? So we go back and forth with that. But doesn't mean that sometimes I do like, things very structured. I do like very things disciplined. So like I tell my players, and I'll tell everybody I ever talk to, your idea, your philosophy, and anything you do is just taking what you really like from people, from coaches, from mentors, and just put it all together and having your own, and making that your own, because that really is tailored to you, right? We're never going to try and put, square pegs in round holes, as they say. So that is really something that I believe as an educator, I believe as a coach, that is the theory that I really like in my classroom and on my field. Earlier this semester, one of the first Zoom meetings we ever had in any classroom, there was this quote that came to me, and I think it encompasses everything that I believe in education, everything I believe in coaching, everything I believe in life, as far as children and students and athletes. Because to me it's really true and it really resonates. Whether it's general education or special education, I believe that every child deserves the opportunity, right, to achieve beyond everybody's expectation. Because I do. The look on the face of students, of athletes, when they achieve something, when they create something, when they stay consistent, when they stay disciplined, when they really follow something, and it happens, that is a great thing in a classroom, on the field, in life, because you're teaching students, right, that perhaps not a lot of people have believed in them or have supported them throughout their journey. And now you're there being the consistent person, being the caring person, building a relationship, a positive relationship with your students and your athletes that really are going to resonate for the rest of their life, right? You don't know a problem, figure it out. Find it out, right? I don't want to hear excuses. I want to hear solutions, right? And a lot of people, discard a lot of our students because they believe they can't do it. They believe they're not ready for it. They're not ready for life. They're not ready for the classroom. They're not ready for a course load. They're not ready for this. They're not ready for that. But we are doing more harm than good to these students, because at the end of the day, we want them to succeed just as much as they want to breathe. That's what we want, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to one time be empowered to have their own life, to make their own decisions, right? And we have to really stay on top of them and be consistent, because all of them, every single child does deserve that opportunity, because it's important that they know that, and that we know that as educators, because we want them to achieve more things that they thought they could do, right? Beyond the expectations that maybe was set before them. Always ask more, because a lot of students will give you more and then accept the challenge to even go farther than that. And again, we go back to the sense of we need to understand that these kids deserve that opportunity, every single one of them. To the ways of being, right? The ways of being. Let's think about that. We have in California these expectations of new teachers of how we're going to handle classrooms. Are we able to do that? Are we able to step into an environment that maybe we are not so accustomed to, and we have to really, set expectations. We really have to manage children of all ages, of all cultures, of all languages in California, right? It's a reason why California is so diverse. A lot of people like the weather, but also they get an opportunity to be here, right? And so far, a lot of the times we kind of fall behind in that. We're not number one, but that doesn't mean we cannot become one day number one as far as leading education and being in every part of reading, mathematics, all those skills, all those subject matters. We just gotta have, a lot more enthusiasm in the classroom. So I'm hopeful for all children. I'm really hopeful for all children every time I step in the classroom, because To me, nothing exists besides that day, right? Carpe diem, seize the day. That is what I am about, and that's what I want my students to know. Hey, it's okay we had obstacles before. You know, yesterday was yesterday, today is today. We need to understand how can we move forward today. I'm very hopeful every time I'm in a classroom. It doesn't matter if it's a bilingual classroom, dual immersion, a Mandarin classroom, but I may not know any Mandarin, but you know, I like the students to teach me. I empower them to tell me, hey, today you're the teacher. You're gonna teach the teacher a couple words. I'm hopeful every time I step in the classroom, and I enjoy being in the classroom. And because of my energy, I'm able to transmit that to my students and make it a very enjoyable day. So I'm very hopeful every single time because I'm hopeful for them, I'm hopeful for me, because I know that if I go with the attitude that I'm going to learn, that I'm hoping to learn something today for my students, for myself, for the school, that's what I like to do. I'm really hopeful. And not only that, I'm determined. I am very determined to make a difference. That is what I think as educators we should all be about. Because if we're not there to make differences, you know, we're not really helping children. We're not helping students. We're not helping other educators. We're not helping administration. We all have input. We're a community built on trust. And we need to be able to trust each other, the parents, everybody, classified, certificated, right? We have to be determined to make a difference because these kids, if you empower them for them to make a difference, one day they will, because they're going to get to be adults one day. They're going to get to be owners. They're going to get to be workers. So we have to really empower them, and we have to, and it starts by us determining that we will make a difference today, tomorrow, and a lot of times I know things don't go our way in a day, so we get an opportunity the next day, right? And again, I'm very intrigued by diverse perspectives, very intrigued. The abilities and behaviors others bring to the table. I have learned so much in my short time substitute teaching this year from educators, from administrators, that have really shaped a little bit more and tailored how I want my classroom one day to be, tailored my philosophy, right? Being in this cohort has really helped me understand a lot more things, more in depth, how students learn, what are the theories behind that? Because a lot of times we do have the understanding, we just never had the root of it. Where did this come from? Oh, this is the term I need to use, right? So I'm always curious for new learning, and I want my students to be curious for new learning because that is the only way they understand. Kids should ask questions. They should be doubtful. Hey, if we're not curious ourselves, how can we model that for our students? How can we keep building things for our students that they need to understand? Curiosity, right? As a species, a human being, we survive because of curiosity. How can we do this? How can we do that? How can we make our lives better? Let's critically think. Let's go on the hunt. Let's go find something that's really going to help us survive as a species, right? Now, that brings me to be very optimistic about my role. Very optimistic about my role in this whole system. Because I feel that maybe as one teacher, I can empower students, I can empower teachers, other teachers, I can empower, other administrators to really try and really tailor our community, our education, our school to fit the needs of our students. Because not everybody is the same. We have very diverse students, not only culturally, but socioeconomically. And research has always shown that those gaps are really what hinders a lot of these students from learning a lot more. And we as educators, sometimes we take responsibility and we take matters into our hands and we get supplies and we're trying to get these parents involved, because at the end of the day, we want to build a community with our families, we want to build a community with our schools and our district, to show them that that's what we are about. That's what we're here for every day, right? And a lot of times things don't go our way, whether for the student or a class, but this is why we have to remain consistent. We have to be the ones demonstrating what we're capable of. To really be motivators, I mean, I can't speak too much about that. I really like motivation, whether it comes from the student, whether it comes from one student to another, whether it comes from a teacher to the student. Motivation, student motivators are very important in our educational system, in our classrooms, because maybe sometime someone is having a bad day, and it's about like, hey Johnny, how's your day? Hey Lucas, how's everything at home? Like things like that, really sometimes motivate kids to stay engaged, to participate, getting positive feedback, right? Getting rewards for such a good job. That is what we really need to focus, because that's really going to motivate a lot of the students. A lot of the students that are doubtful, a lot of the students that maybe have too much on their mind, a lot of the students that maybe are sleepy, maybe they're angry when they come to class. We don't know that. So we need to find ways to motivate a lot of these kids. Use resources, use technology, use things that they know, talk in their language sometimes, right? That just means I know this and this and this. That doesn't mean I'm talking any different way as an educator. I'm just saying that can we speak the same language so these kids understand us, so that we can move forward and relate and start putting things together, personal experiences, background knowledge. What do we know about all these things that we can help motivate our students? What do we know about their life? What do we know about their language? What do we know about their culture? Can we say good morning, please? Can we say thank you in their language? To really bring these kids and motivate these kids. So you know what? I really like that Mr. L. He's cool with us. He's always talking to us in our language. I really like that. I want to learn. I want to learn because I taught him something and I want him now to teach me something. And that's one of the motivators that we have to use. We have to be really creative as educators to find the ways to motivate our students a lot better in the classroom. And that brings me to assessment. How are we going to assess our students? How are we as educators, or myself even, how are we really going to assess our students? Because that is a big part of our educational system. And that will be a big part of my classroom. And I know a lot of times I use the word as educators, but it's really me speaking about what I have seen in my personal experience and how I want things for myself, my class, my teachers, my administrators, everybody, right? And I really like that in my philosophy, everything is included. The enthusiasm, the motivation, the learning theory, the empowering, the class management, all those things that we have touched in class in this cohort for the last month or two, are really coming together, and it's really making me understand how important all these things are in a classroom, in special education and general education, because I've not only seen it, I've read it, I've already kind of put it into place. And when it comes to assessment, whether it's formative, whether it's a simple question, whether it's a feedback from body language, whether can we relate something to the other, whether it's an exit ticket at the end of class, all those things are important in my classroom, and they will be important because that is something I want to really students. What can you take away from today? What can you take away from today's lesson? What can you take away tomorrow even? And when it comes to celebrate system, trust them enough to have them really, come through, make breakthroughs in their education, right? Keeping records really helps them, really keeps going, really keeps them motivated, right? A lot of the times we tell them, hey, that's okay, we made mistakes. Let's fix them. Let's go on the next day, we fix them, we continue learning and learning until we have continual breakthroughs in reading, in writing, and maybe in science, in math, and all these subjects that are important. And we go back to that is what assessment is to me. That is what assessment should be, because it's not all the times. It's not all pen and papers, A, B, C, D. Which letter is can we talk to students? Can we get feedback from them? Can we ask them to teach a lesson? Can we ask them to teach others? Can we ask them to really understand what happened today? And can they take that and take those skills and take them to life and take them to a lot of things they do, because learning does not only happen in the classroom, it happens outside of the classroom. It happens in when you learn how to ride a bike, when you learn how to fish, when you know how to hunt, all these things, right? That is learning, and that is what our students need to understand. And even then, they're going to be assessed. And that is something that they don't think about it, but I know I do, because I always self-reflect on the things I do. Whether it's in a classroom, whether it's on a field, whether it's in life, I really have to take time to reflect, and I wanted to teach that skill to my students so they understand what are the things can we do better next time. And lastly, I want to end with this. In March 11th, 2017, my soccer team, my boys high school soccer team at Oklahoma Valley High School, won a state regional championship. And it was done with people, with students, with kids from all over the world. From Syria to Iraq, to Armenia, to Costa Rica, to Mexico, to the United States. And it was very special because my educational philosophy really aligns with my coaching philosophy. Empowering kids, giving them responsibility, giving them pride, giving them a lot of things that correlate. I always tell my players, I kind of know what kind of a student you are in a classroom right now by the way you're out here, because this field is a practice. This practice field is also a classroom. And that doesn't mean you can't change. That also means that you're able to change. And if you really learn here, you can take these skills you learn on the field and put them in life and put them in a classroom. And that's really going to help you. And what I really remember about that team, and this is a picture of my captains, you know, both of them were from different cultures, same country, and it really opened my eyes to the world. And I like to thank them and every single student I've met that I've coached, because I have learned so much language, I have learned so much culture from them, and I have learned how to remain humble. Because at the end of the day, I want these kids to always have a great experience on the field, to cherish memories, to be empowered to take this and go on with life. And I will never stop saying this, because I really believe that my coaching philosophy really aligns with my teaching philosophy. Because at the end of the day, I want these kids, you know, I want my players to achieve this and more. And for us to do that year, with so many obstacles, with so many language barriers, with so many cultural misunderstandings, it really helps them, and it helps me just become a better person and become a better human being, and really appreciate the value of teamwork, of collaboration, of not being selfish. And that's what it really takes to be a champion. You know, learning how to fix your mistakes quickly, learning how to overcome adversity. I've always remembered this team, and I'll always remember them, because they really capitalize on the way I've been doing things since 2011 all the way to 2017, as far as coaching, as far as teaching, as far as learning. And that really cemented myself as, this is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm really passionate about. Teaching, coaching, empowering kids to do what they can never think they can do. And I'm going to end with that. And just remember, you know, every kid deserves that opportunity to achieve beyond everybody's expectations. And I will continually push for that, and I really believe that. Again, my name is Antonio Lavinat. Have a good day, and thank you so much for your time.